Let's give them something to talk about. Let's talk about fairies.
Let's talk about mermaid fairies.
Oh yeah, you were taken with that mermaid fairy, weren't
Dude,
you?
that mermaid fairy was sick as shit. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Brother sibling. Welcome, friends and chosen family, to Brother Sibling Movie, a podcast where two siblings, that's us, talk about movies we love from our childhood, and some we may be discovering for the first time, centered around a different theme every season. I'm your brother, Evan Kerna.
And I'm your sibling, Mare Morgan.
And this week's movie is FairyTale, a true story, a 1997 film that was specifically made just for Mare.
It sure was. Um, we are stretching the bounds of our season's theme, which is 90s sci-fi and fantasy films, if you're interested, to include this movie. However, I do think it deserves a spot. You and I both did.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, FairyTale, a true story, is all about the nature of belief, a person's relationship with a world beyond this one, and the importance of motherfucking fairies. They're so
Mm-hmm.
important. They are so
Yeah, they're
important.
so fair. They're so fair. They're
The fair
so
folk,
delightful. The fair
the
folk.
fair folk, fae folk, the folk, all the things. They're just
Mm-hmm.
delightful and they're wonderful.
Can I share with you something that we can get to later because I can't help
Yes.
myself? I'm so excited to share this with you, and I think it might make it onto the end of this episode, or it might be, we'll talk about it at the end, or maybe it makes a little extra bonus content. Um, Before we get into our connections to the movie, this might get cut out and not go in front of our connection to the movie,
You're
but
the editor,
just
babe. Do whatever you want. Do it now.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. I was clearing out my storage unit and I came across something I did not even remember existed, but it is this thing, and it is a story called The Adventures of Mustardseed and Snailtail, Two
Where is that
Fairies.
from?
It made by us. You did
You
the
and
cover
I
art.
made it?
It says it's wait a minute, let's
Oh
look on
my
the front
god!
page.
Wait, The
The
Adventures of
Adventures
Mustard
Mustardseed and
Seed
Snailtail, by Evan Kerna, illustrated by me, cover art by Meredith,
and
original concept
character
by Meredith
concept.
Kerna, character
Oh
concept.
my god!
I know,
That's
I was like, what the
incredible!
fudge? So this is why I was pushing super hard for this movie to be
Oh
the
my
next
god,
one that we did.
because you and I were these kids. You and I were these
Exactly.
kids.
Yeah. So I realized as I started looking through it, okay, it's a little bit more like a thing that I did, but clearly we both worked on it and sort of like had whatever.
Oh
I was
my
like, yeah,
gosh.
here, wait, here's a quick little, and I sort of like did all these drawings in the margins. And here is, wait, I'll read you the first paragraph.
Could you
The
please?
here's
Please.
here's here's actual fairy size.
Oh, just for reference. That's how
Just
big
for
they are on
reference
the
for
page.
anybody that needed to
They're two
know.
inches,
Yeah.
okay, guys? Don't get it
Yeah.
twisted.
Yeah. The Adventures of Mustardseed and Snailtail by EK and MK. There once was 222,222 parentheses 2 fairies. They were girls who were named Mustardseed and Snailtail, and they were bestest best friends. And so begins their adventure. Adventures. Oh my god.
Okay, Evan,
Everything about this is incredible.
every I first of all, holy shit, I'm so excited that you have that.
I couldn't
Second,
believe this existed. I was like,
can
what the
we
is this?
when I'm at home for Christmas,
Hmm.
can we, because obviously I'm gonna bring all my recording equipment. Can we
Naturally.
do a dramatic reading of The Adventures of Mustard Seed and
Yes,
Snailtail,
absolutely we
please?
can. Yes. Before we move on, I did not read it myself yet because
That's no, don't.
I
No,
wanted to
no.
eventually
Wait.
have a
Wait.
but I
Well,
did but I had to point out how I
oh, look at
they
you.
had very, very tiny wings.
It's
I
like all
changed
14. So this sentence is all 14 point font, and then it's like
Yeah.
8-point font.
Yeah.
It's a very good
Because
visual.
you
It's a
have to
visual joke.
indicate you have to indicate
How
how big the wings are and get it
obviously
across to
it's
the
a
peoples.
it's a visual joke. I get it. I
Right.
understand. I understand the medium that we're
I
working
don't
with
know
in
if it's a joke so much as illustrative of the no, I just
illustrative plot.
So
Oh
yeah,
my
I thought
god.
this was a really special little thing from our childhood, and I was like, I can't believe there's this like fairy story that you and I collaborated on in some
I
sense that
and it,
exists in the world.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm trying really hard not to
Original
cry
art.
right now because of how fucking precious that is.
It's super precious, and
And
honestly, your art is so much better than mine. Like this, so I illustrated the rest of the story, but you did the cover art, and I love this cover art. I love the way that their legs bend. I love that they
there, this is
have these cheruby cheeked smiles,
we'll
and
have
that
to.
the of is a little sun. It's
Oh, and
awesome.
I also indicated that's snail tail and that one's mustard seed. There's a little
Oh yeah,
SF,
M and
like,
S.
yeah.
Nobody better
Um,
be yeah.
you have
Everybody's gonna
to
have to understand what they look
you
like.
you have to send me a photo of that and I'll post it on our Instagram because that is
I will do
and
that. But
like
yes, stay
this
tuned for a dramatic reading of the adventures of Mustardseed and Snailtail coming
correct.
later at maybe
Correct.
post end of season 1 of Brother Sibling Movie.
Yes, and also, like, how fucking precious that even when we were little kids, we were like, "Do you wanna do a thing together? Do you wanna, like, do a story together? Do you wanna, like, do a creative thing together?"
We didn't have many other people or
Didn't
children around
didn't
us.
have a lot of other friends. Sorry. But
but we
anyway,
were but we were very precious, so now that we've talked about our connection to fairies lightly, let's talk about our connection to this movie at hand.
oh, man, so this came out when I was 7 years old. I was exactly the target audience that it was made for.
I was gonna say.
Precisely. I was a seven-year-old kid who was obsessed with fairies. I was like, "Get it in." Yes. Um, so but even saying that, I know that I watched this as a child, but I don't think it's a VHS or anything that we own. So I don't have it, like, seared in my brain in the same way that other movies that we watched, like, all the time were.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
but I knew the story and I loved it. And, yeah, it's just like I kind of so I watched it this time sort of half remembering it, but man, let me tell you, this movie is a goddamn delight. Like
It is. It is super delightful.
it it is very similar in vibe. If you like the what was it, 1998, 1999, 98 Midsummer Night's Dream, the one that we've already
Right.
talked about on this podcast. If you
Yes.
like that vibe, this is a great follow-up to that film.
Totally. I don't it obviously doesn't conform to the genre elements of high fantasy, but
No,
we never said specifically that our season was focused on high fantasy films. I think fairy tales are
fantasy.
quite fantastical,
I think they
and
absolutely are.
and I mean there's magic, involved. I think what I love about this movie is how it's among many things. It's got all of the elements that make for a movie of something that I would like about magic, about fairies, about kids discovering magic, about the crossover between real of magicians doing fake magic to appear real and of real magic happening to little kids that adults can't see. But I think that it is very it's so British in its
It's so
sensibility.
British. It is
And I think
so
that
British.
which I think is great for this particular subject matter because an American version of this story would have overblown everything, but they keep this the magic and the wonder of the story sort of keeps itself contained a little bit in that very like somewhat stiff upper lip, like
I was
but
just gonna
still
say,
majestic and magical and awestruck, but in a quiet, demure way. And I appreciated that about this movie. I was like, I think if this was a American director, an American production company, whatever, they would have screwed it up. They would have
they would have gone
gone
too
too
big.
Disney with it. Yeah. But
They would
this
have
is
gone,
very
yeah.
this is very contained in a delightful kind of way, in a way that makes you, because it's mostly about the question of, is this real? Does
Mhm.
this happen? So
But
yeah.
what's great about this film too, just speaking to the kind of contained, like, Britishness of it,
Hmm.
um, you don't have to have an answer to that question. Is it real?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that's really cool, and just in terms of, the, like, larger thing of fairies and magic and whatever, there is something of, like, it can't be observed and quantified. It is something that you have that's a personal connection almost.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I great job on
It's like
on the direct.
Totoro.
It is like Totoro. It's in that, very much in that legacy of I mean, obviously the events of this story occurred before Totoro came out. Um,
Right.
but it's in that kind of same tradition of, like, children have this magical otherworldly understanding, and yeah, they can.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of stories within that framework of children know something the adults don't know.
Yeah, and it's usually something that's really special and magical and that connects them to the natural world, which is awesome.
Yeah. Hmm. Um, Yeah, very briefly, my connection with this movie, I don't remember seeing it as a young kid. I must have seen it at some point. But I'm very glad that I watched it again now because I got so much out of it and enjoyed it so much. I must have seen it at some point because I feel like little things about the the
It
themes
clicked,
and
right?
the
Li
something about it clicked with me. I was like, this is like a lot of stuff that I try to make stories about. This is cool. Okay. Way to go, fairy tale, colon, a true story.
It's so funny when you see the I sometimes do that when I reread books that I really loved when I was, like, 13 or so,
Hmm.
that I'll read them as an adult and be like, "Oh, this shaped my entire worldview. This
Right.
book shaped everything that I think about anything," and it's great.
Yeah.
Alright, well, am I doing the synopsis, or are you doing the synopsis?
Do you want to do a Rochambeau for it?
Best 1 out of 1. Whoever wins, wins.
Okay, here we go. One,
1,
two,
2, 3.
two,
You
three.
can't I already
What?
did the No, I was our video was delayed, and so you saw my scissor
I
before.
swear I did not. But honestly, I don't care if I'm reading this or not. So if you want to take it, go for it.
Sure, I'll go for it. Alright. This is from our robot overlords at Chat GPT.
ChatGPT?
ChatGPT? Oh my god, is it ChatGPT?
ChatGPT.
Oh my god, ChatGPT!
ChatGPT. Do we do that every
I
time?
think we might do it every time, and I think it's insufferable every time, and
I
it
guess it's a
also,
bit. I guess
dude,
it's a bit.
it
Sorry,
makes
everyone.
it makes me laugh every time. Every time.
ChatGPT.
"Ta-ta-ra-ha, ah-ha-ha, ah-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta." It's just like, ask a question and ChatGPT gives you answer. ChatGPT.
Yeah, I've got another answer to this ChatGPT.
Okay. We're gonna Fairy
Whew.
Tale. A True Story, 1997, is a family drama based on the true story of the famous Cottingley Fairies, photographs from 1917. Set in England during World War I, the film follows the lives of two young cousins, Francis Griffiths and Elsie Wright, who capture photographs of what appear to be real fairies in their garden.
Can I just say that Frances has the most adorable, precocious speech
It's
impediment, and I
so
can't get over
cute.
it.
It's so cute, and I love her. And they both have, like, not Francis
Fairies! Fairies, a
Bellies,
wheel!
the
It's
wheel.
giving, it's giving,
Morgan Le Fay from
Morgan Le
Merlin.
Fay vibes, yeah.
Yes. I love it. Okay. As the images gain attention, including from famous figures like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle,
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle!
what?
Sorry.
Played by Peter O'Toole, by the way, and it does not say this. Harry Houdini, played by Harvey Keitel, both amazing, amazing performances.
Great
Um,
casting, all
this
in.
we'll talk about the cast later, but oh my god, amazing. Okay. Including famous figures like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the cousins' story captivates the public and creates a media frenzy. While Frances believes in the fairies and is convinced that they are real, Elsie begins to question the authenticity of the photographs. The film explores themes of innocence, imagination, and the tension between belief and skepticism, particularly through the lens of Frances's deep connection with the magical world. As the story unfolds, the film poses questions about the nature of truth and deception, as well as the impact of the girls' actions on their families and their future. They don't really get into their future, so like ChatGPT, that's the film culminates in the revelation of the true nature of the photographs with a bittersweet conclusion about the power of belief and the passage of time. Overall, Fairy Tale, A True Story is a whimsical yet poignant exploration of childhood wonder, imagination, and the complexities of growing up. And ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. Yeah,
ChatGPT.
I have a few issues with this.
I know, I do too, actually. It's really interesting.
Does Elsie begin to question the authenticity of the
No.
photographs? They're
No.
both on the same page of saying, like, "We took these photographs, like, they're fucking real." Um, it's
Yeah.
the adults who are questioning the authenticity of the photographs.
Yes, and so in okay, so in terms of where this is in
Not far be it from me to question the authority of ChatGPT, but
ChatGPT,
I'm calling shenanigans on you,
I
ChatGPT.
I also kind of call shenanigans. And I would like to say that this is I am particularly obsessed with the sort of early 1900 late 1800s, early 1900s spiritualist movement.
I
Um
was gonna say, can you tell me more about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and his connection to
yeah,
spiritualism?
I mean
But
but
we'll get there.
yeah, do you want me to go off the dome because I did not research it? But basically, so Arthur Conan Doyle was a believer in spiritualism, this sort of practice around the turn of the last century of, you can talk to ghosts and you can conjure people and like Ouija boards. And Madame Helena Blavatsky was a big person in the spiritualist movement at this time. She actually founded, so Bill Nighy is also in this, like, absolute
Shout out to
treasure.
Bill Nighy.
Shout out to Bill Nighy. He says at one point, "I'm a theosophist," and theosophy was the sort of, like, kind of religion that Madame Helena Blavatsky founded, which was all about, like, equality of everybody regardless of, like, gender, creed, race, whatever. You come
Mhm.
together and you, like, do cool magical shit, like old school right hand path magical shit, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I just think it's such a fascinating, like kind of what you were talking about a little bit ago, of the interplay of the magician who tells you he's tricking you, right? Versus, the person that doesn't tell you they're tricking you, and kind of like and I think that comes through in terms of, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, obviously an amazing writer. He gave us such greats as what's his face, Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, babe, whatever. We're not talking about Sherlock Holmes, are we? We're talking about fucking fairies. You're in my house
This
now,
is
Sir
like
Arthur Conan
me.
Doyle.
This
Okay?
is like
You're in my
me
house.
saying that Brad Pitt is a semi-attractive man.
It kind
Like,
of is.
uh-huh.
Uh,
What is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle famous for? Like a detective
he's like a
guy?
something, I don't know.
Yeah.
I look it up on
Verloc,
ChatGPT.
Jerklock Jones.
Sherlock Jones is a great name. Uh,
We got the adventures of Jerklock Jones. He's like a dumb Sherlock Holmes.
he just like is always
No,
like
they already
spitting in
did.
gum.
They already did a joke about that in that Mitchell and Webb book. I forget
They
the
did.
detective's name, but
Um,
that's a funny bit that they do.
oh fuck yeah. I love that bit. So I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, um, he was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a big believer in spiritualism. And famously Harry Houdini, the most famous like quote unquote magician of the era, was an absolute debunker of spiritualism. He fucking hated it.
Yeah.
Could not stand it. And those both of those like very real historical characters were involved in the story of the Cottingley Fairies. Um, and Houdini basically was like, "Nah, dude, this is not real. Fairies are not real. Come on, man." And Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was like, "But what if they are and it's important?" Um, so
Yeah.
obviously, this film takes a bit of artistic license, which I think is beautifully handled from the sort of
Hmm.
historical events that happened. Um, but obviously, spiritualism also kind of really, really did take off in the during the First World War. Um, just I think on the kind of mass trauma level that so often people are seeking, right? Of they're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, my 17-year-old son went to a foreign country and died in the, like, most insane, massive war that we've ever experienced in, like, historical living memory," right? I wanna talk
Yeah.
to him because I miss him um or whatever, right? So spiritualism did definitely take off at that point, um, or not at that point, but that was a big factor in it gaining prevalence, I guess. Um, and like Madame Helena Blavatsky was also really active during this period. She wrote these like absolutely incomprehensible magical texts. Isis Unveiled and The Secret Doctrine were these two books that she wrote about her magicalness. Aleister Crowley, like
Hmm.
the quote unquote wickedest man in England, or the wickedest man in the world. Um, Power bottom for anybody that's wondering, total brat. Um, he was also like kind of in and around this time period in the spiritualism, magic, the what did they call it? Madame Blavatsky had the Theosophical Society, and Aleister Crowley had something else that I'm not going to be able to remember off the top of my head. Fuck, I can't think of what it is. It's called the
You're doing great so far. You knew more. You said you didn't research anything.
No, this is just off the dome. Can I just say, I was so excited because I really thought I was like, I think this movie is just maybe going to be a little bit for me. It's kind of a gimme for Mayor. And
Hmm.
then you were texting me about it, and you were so fucking hype about this movie. And
I
I was
was.
and I was
I
so
liked it.
excited because I was like, me too. Not that I thought you were going to be like, oh, this is a piece of shit, but you were like so genuinely into it. So like, tell me everything. I want to talk to you about this. I want to talk to you about this movie. Tell me everything that you think. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the cast? Do you want to talk about the art department? Do you want to talk about the story? Do you want to talk about what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about all those things, but it would be cool to focus a little bit, I think, on the big picture at first, right? Of
Sure.
just what
Yeah.
this movie is about. Because, yeah, this movie did surprise. I was very surprised within the first 5 and then 10 minutes of the movie. I was like, I'm really into this. I'm like, I was not expecting, because this movie was kind of like, we wanted to stretch the season out a little bit. There was a little bit of planning that we were trying to
Yeah.
do to get the pieces to fall into place. To get a special guest for our next podcast, and also to be able to be in the same place for our finale.
Yes, exactly.
So this was kind of like a filler episode, and I was like, oh, it's great that it's FairyTale, because I can show Mare this beautiful Adventures of Mustardseed and Snailtail book that we made together when we were kids that I found. So it was really kind of, I was
It
thinking of it as kind of a filler
it was a
episode.
little bit more like a filler, a little like, we wanna get to the last 2 episodes of this season, but we
Mhm.
kinda need this one. But
But I was very pleasantly surprised at how
me
much I
too.
enjoyed this movie. I was like,
I
this is
know.
awesome. I really like how charming and heartfelt it is, and it doesn't
Yeah,
feel put upon. And for the time, I think the effects are actually pretty good. I
they're
think they sell
fantastic.
the idea. Just the the world that they inhabit is so cool. Yes, I want to talk about art stuff, but let's talk about the cast for a second,
Oh
because
my fucking god. Let's talk about the cast. We already
I
talked about
will
Peter
I will
O'Toole. Go.
yeah. Okay, so I want to intro this
Ugh,
later at the end of this podcast. I want to talk about these interviews that this man named John C. Tibbets gave,
this
and
fucking dude. This
he's this
fucking
is
dude.
a journalist who's doing press interviews for this movie. It's the only interviews about this movie you seem to be able to find
It's a
on YouTube.
travesty that this man
Yeah.
was the only man
I
that did
was
interviews.
yes, I was like, so he asks the little girls, what was it like to hug I don't want to give this away, because in case people haven't, but like, what was it like to be with this famous actor person? A, it's a creepy comment to make. B, the second thing that I thought was like, this child was acting with
They were on
Peter motherfucking Tool, a living legend. What the fuck is wrong with you, you fucking asshole? I'm just like, Lawrence of Arabia? Motherfucker, this man is an incredible legend. What the fuck are you talking about Mel
you're
Gibson
you're
for,
you're
anyway?
talking about the last 10 seconds of this film. You are not talking about how these incredible child actors worked with Peter O'Toole, who at that time was a living legend. They worked with Harvey Keitel, incredible actor. They worked with Bill Nighy. Like these, like they are, and they are also like these two kids, these two actors that play the girls, Elsie and Francis.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do a ton after this. Like they didn't. They're not like Sean Astin's where they were kid actors and then they went on to great fame and fortune necessarily.
Yeah.
But they are like really good actors. They're really great in this film. And this fucking guy, this fucking interviewer, piece of shit, is like also creepily asking them, like, oh, well, girls like scary movies, don't they? Tell me about how girls like scary movies. And I was like, stop! Stop it!
It was the
We
worst.
hate Evan and I think this man is his name John Tibbet? John C. Tibbet.
John C. Tibbets seems to be his name as it
This
appears on his YouTube channel.
this man, Evan and I have decided, this John C. Tibbet, he is
He
the
might be the
monster.
worst.
He's
Mm-hmm.
the monster under your bed. He is the creepy clown hiding in your closet. He is the nightmare that is your grandmother has told you about. This man is a nightmare, and I hate him so much. He is so condescending. He is so creepy. He is so just like fucking weird. Where I'm like, do you have any awareness that you're talking to two young women? Do you have like any
Mm-hmm.
awareness that the things that you're saying to them are like terrifying and creepy?
I don't
No?
think he does. No, I
No,
think
he
he's just
doesn't.
a bad, evil, wet blanket of a human being.
God, I hate him so fucking much. Also, Paul McGann plays the girl's dad and the other girl's uncle. Paul McGann was
Mhm.
the Eighth Doctor, my personal favorite Doctor.
Oh, okay.
Because I was watching it and I was like, "What the hell? Why do I know like, I know his face, and I
Wait,
can't."
he started the reboot of Doctor Who?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
him?
yeah. So
No.
so the
What?
8th so the
He
8th
looks so
Doctor
different.
so the 8th Doctor, right, that had a standalone the Doctor Who we're talking about Doctor
Oh,
Who
wow.
for all of you guys that are not absolute unrepenting nerds.
What are
So
you
the
doing listening to this
what are
podcast if
you
you're
doing?
not?
So Paul McGann played the 8th Doctor, and he only played it in that one film, and then
Or the
BBC
one
re
season?
no, well, initially, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. This is why I'm
So
getting confused. So he's not the ninth Doctor
no,
because
so
right.
Paul
David Tennant
McGann,
is 10. The other guy, there's another guy who's
Chris
9 who does the first
Eccleston
season. Okay.
Chris Eccleston was
Okay. This is
number
why I'm confused. They don't look anything alike.
Christopher Eccleston was number 9 who restarted the series in whatever, 2005 or something. But Paul McGann did this one, like, hour and a half special, and he was the Doctor. He was the 8th Doctor, and he has long been my secret favorite Doctor. I
Ooh,
love him
secret
so
favorite
much.
Doctor.
I love him so much, and he has since, like, in now that Doctor Who is, slightly more mainstream and they've done all these, whatever, he's come back over specials and stuff like Doctor Who special. But that's the Doctor. It's the Doctor.
It's British actors. I mean, they're the best.
They're
Everyone
the
in this
fucking
movie is
best.
firing on all cylinders, you know. I mean, Harvey Keitel is not British, but I did like that they actually, decided to cast an American as an American character. I mean, Houdini is American, right? He must be.
Yeah, Houdini was American, but he
Yeah. Was American.
is
Passed on.
to this day,
Shuffled loose this
obviously.
mortal
Um,
coil. Yes.
he yeah, and I Harvey Keitel was just such a great uh flim flam man, but not in the like uh snake oil salesman. He obviously has a lot of heart and a lot of conviction in what he's doing, but he's also like, but I'm a trickster, right? Like I'm a magician. I'm
Yeah, I think they do a great. Yeah. So, okay. Peter O'Toole, incredible legend. Obviously, you
amazing.
would tap him to play Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Because how could you not?
Um, I love watching him. There is something about piercing blue eyes that just gets you when you're seeing it on screen. Like anytime there's a close up of him, you're sort of like diving deep in. Harvey Keitel, he does a great job. Sorry, Peter O'Toole does a great job um, reflecting the kind of fervor of somebody who wants to believe so
Yes.
badly, who sees a picture of a fairy and is like, this has to be like, I want this to be real so
I want
badly,
it so badly. And
and as a
I
kind old grandfather type of figure who just like
yes.
wants to believe the children, who believes in the children's story. I mean, the conceit of this film is that these pictures are real, like, which is
Yes.
great. I kind of love that conceit, but they do a I'm getting into out of cast talking stuff and talking about the movie. Anyway, Peter O'Toole's great. I love
He's
Harvey Keitel.
fantastic.
Um,
Bill Nighy too. He is one of those people who I'm like, look, never meet your heroes, kids, right? Whatever. But like Bill Nighy is one of the few people in this world that I'm like, I have a sneaking suspicion that you are exactly as delightful and lovely and kind and intelligent as I think you are. And he also just seems like somebody who every time he's in a film, especially where he is playing a father or somebody who's like interacting with children, he seems so joyful and just like
oh yeah, the moments where he's interacting with
play
the girls and he really wants to see the fairies and he's waiting behind the tree
beautiful.
because
And
and
he's like hiding.
he steps into the fairy circle because he's like being an idiot and they're like, oh, you can't go in there
And he's like,
because
"Oh my god, I didn't know." And but he's like so not like in that way that adults sometimes humor kids, but he's like so genuinely like, "Oh my god, I messed up." And it's
Yeah.
just he's also in this movie called About Time, which I highly recommend watching. It is a gut-wrenching performance from him, and it is beautiful, and it gave me kind of pale shades of that, of just like, you
Yeah.
seem like such a delightful man that takes such joy in, like, being a dad and being around kids
Yeah.
and just that.
Um, no, he's great. Um, there's a lot of great, still very famous, older male actors in this movie that we love and cherish. I'm gonna suggest we take a quick
Me
commercial
too!
break
I was
because
just gonna
I
oh,
gotta
I have
do
to
things,
pee.
and our listeners need a break while
Fro
we prepare ourselves to talk about all the wonderful things
Hey,
going on in Fairy Tale: a true story from
hey, Evan,
1997.
now that we've been talking for an hour, do you wanna start the episode?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay,
I'd
cool.
be into
Let's take a
that.
little breaky break.
Let's talk for a second about the main characters, the girls.
Yes.
Floris Harth, who plays Frances, and Elizabeth Earle, who plays Elsie. If I'm
And
not
Elsie is the
getting
older
them
one.
mistaken. Hmm.
Yeah, Elsie is so in this film, Elsie is 12 and Frances is about 8.
Yeah, which is
In
different from the
in
real life story because
they were a
Elsie
bit
was
older,
16 and Florence or Frances was like 12 or something like that.
something like that, but they made them a little younger, but it works still, obviously.
I think it makes a lot more sense
It
from
does. It does.
to have them be younger. You question the validity of their claims of seeing fairies a lot less with them being younger.
Yeah. And 12, I think 12 is a great age to have that because it is sort of that you're starting to realize like, "Oh my god, I'm growing up a little bit and I don't know if I want to." And
Yeah, they're both at that very tender sort of Peter Pan-esque age, you know. They even
Mhm.
have Peter Pan
Peter Pan.
as a play that they show at the beginning of the movie, rightfully, understandably so, because it deals with all of these same themes, you know. Um, but yeah, I think I want to talk a little bit about these actresses and their the characters' relationship to each other and what that has to say
Mm,
about the theme of the film itself, because it is, I mean, it's a tale about childhood, right? And these girls are very good at playing off each other. You know, Elsie, I think, is a bit more of the sort of stoic one. She's lost her brother, Joseph, to pneumonia earlier in the year. Joseph and her were, it would seem like best pals. They both love fairies. I wrote down in my notes, Jonah seems to like fairies a lot. Was he a fairy?
uncool, man. Fucking uncool, man.
But he does seem to like fairies a lot because he
Everybody,
and
Evan's a homophobe.
you look out, everybody.
Look out. He's coming
Catch
for you.
me on my Manosphere podcast. Evan fucks over the feminists. There's a cleverer name.
I can't even take you seriously because I'm like you would literally die 1,000 deaths before you did that.
It would be true. I would be burning every bridge in my entire life. Yeah, it'd
Yeah,
be fun.
including obviously this very stable, sturdy podcast bridge that we are building.
Right. Turns out Evan went super hard into right wing conservative manosphere after being on the very LGBTQ slash BIPOC friendly BSM podcast.
Yeah, who
What can
knew?
I say? I wanted the views. You know what I'm saying?
Can't make jokes anymore.
I can't make jokes anymore.
Can't make jokes
Um,
anymore.
these girls are really great in this movie, and I think that there is something about their relationship with each other as cousins that speaks to that kind of childhood innocence. You really feel their connection with each other and the way that they believe that they actually see the fairies, because you watch them see fairies. But
Yes,
interestingly enough, they never, in the movie, they make a point to never actually show you when they've taken the photographs,
exactly.
um, which I think is a really interesting point that once we get out of sort of talking about the cast, I want to talk more about.
Yeah, but
But
those
yeah, these girls have a great, yeah, they have a great vibe about them, and I like what they brought. Elsie's a bit more serious. Francis is a bit more, I don't know, precocious, you could say, although they're both very quite British as far as children go.
they're quite British. They're quite British children in the 1900s, but it's true. They play off of each other very well in terms of the actors as well as in terms of the writing of how those two characters are interacting and are kind of like, hey, like, like it's that it's that incredible precious thing that you have with like a sibling, a cousin, a very, very close friend when you're a kid.
I guess I wouldn't
Um,
know.
I mean, you and I never did it, so like we never shared anything or hung out when we were kids.
You can hear the crickets chirping. I try. I try to make the jokes, and they just
I just don't.
just
I have too acerbic and drive of a wit, darling.
I wish I could experience what it's like to bomb on SNL, you know? That must be such an
Man,
experience. That must just be like you go out there, you're on national television and just
and you
no one
just suck.
laughs.
And you
Oh man.
just suck.
It's tough enough for me not hearing my own sibling laugh. I don't think I could handle 100 people in a studio audience, let alone the entire nation, just being like, "You're not funny, dude. That wasn't good." I'd be like, "I think I will crawl under a rock and die now." I gotta
I
handle
mean,
it.
I have long said that the only reason I exist is to be funny. It's the only thing that I see of value in myself. Because like I had to work at like I had to like learn how to be funny. Like
This personality is cultivated for
this is
your liking.
this is specifically cultivated because like I was, believe it or not the most popular person.
What? Come on, get out of here.
I have the same 2 friends that I had in high school, and they're my best friends, and I love them, but they were my 2 friends in high school, and they're still my friends today. They're my
It
best
just
friends.
means that you keep very close connections and
I
you're a
do.
very loyal person.
I had good taste.
That's right.
But okay, the point is
Yes.
there is this sort of secret world that you have when you have a cousin or a sibling or a something, right? Like a person you're very close in age to,
Mhm.
who you live with or you're always in proximity to, that is unknowable to adults.
Mhm.
Like it's totally separate. And I think that is something that is so hard to capture so often.
Mhm.
And I definitely felt it in Elsie and Francis's characters. That sort of like, well, we're sort of left to our own devices a little bit, and we are interested in these things, and we're doing this stuff, but like it's kind of us against the world, right? Like it's
Yeah,
two
and
of
it's
us against the
heightened
world, and it
and it's
is
heightened by
heightened.
the kind of like just the backyard and like the beautiful
It's
English.
gorgeous. It's in Yorkshire, England. It's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, they have a little creek. They're like hidden by a bunch of little trees. There's or what do they call it? A breck or something.
Something like
They
that.
they
Something
have some.
absolutely horrible and British that, like, does not equate to this gorgeous scenery. They're like, "It's a it's a cracking car." And you're like, that's not a thing.
Kraken Mag.
It's a Kraken mag.
Okay.
But
Very Welsh.
I would say that I mean, you know, not to get like blue or anything, but that was one of the things that I remember about our childhoods that I so loved and cherished was the fact that like it was you and me, right? It
Mhm.
would be like, oh no, this is a like shenanigans coalition. Like we're gonna go. Don't tell mom. Don't tell dad. Don't tell mom. Don't tell. We got it.
Yeah, I was
You
just
and
thinking
me.
about our times going down to the creek and, like, just jumping
Yeah,
into the creek on boogie boards and stuff like
and
that.
just
Just,
like
like,
weird shit.
it reminded me yeah, this movie reminded me a lot of those feelings of being a kid and playing around in nature, which are, I'm realizing, not
Priceless.
as common as I feel in my everyday life these days, but they did a great job of capturing what it feels like to be a kid hanging out in nature and just falling in the creek and
And with that,
looking at
like
beautiful flowers and stuff.
and with that boundlessness of imagination and possibility,
Mhm.
right? Where
Totally.
and this is another, I think, kind of through line and theme of the film that adults look at the world and they see what they wanna see because it's what they expect to see.
Mhm.
But children have this incredible ability because, like, you know, they're new here, that everything that they're seeing and experiences is for the first time. So they kind of have this unvarnished uh, perception of the world. And again, like this is very much in the vein of like My Neighbor Totoro and stories like that. Um, but they portray that really incredible closeness and playfulness and exploratory sort of energy that little kids have when they play together in this
Mhm.
film in such a again, in like a kind of restrained but still very, very true way that feels true even though I was like, well, I wasn't playing with a sister or a cousin in a creek in England in 1917, but I was like, but that hits an emotional chord with
Mhm.
me. It makes me think of like, oh, I was playing with my brother in a creek in our backyard in the 90s, you know, in the 1990s. Like
Yeah.
it strikes a chord, and I think that's one of the things that makes this film, even if it is sort of like, oh, it's this story about these girls and they do a silly thing, and then it's like, you know, it's not a big deal. There are so many true human moments within it that resonate really beautifully, that I think that's
Yeah.
partially why I was like, "Fuck, this movie is it's so delightful." Like, it's just so delightful.
Yeah. I agree. Um, I kinda wanna talk very briefly about the journalist
I wanna
character
I fucking hate this character. I
because 'cause I'm
fucking hate
just
him.
like,
I fucking hate him.
is every British guy just tall and gangly? Is this just like the
Look at me, man. Yes. I think the answer is yes.
are you a British man?
I'm not a British man, but I'm just saying, like, look at the lineage from which we are spawned.
Mhm.
It's a tall,
I
gangly
hear
bunch.
you. Yeah.
It's a tall, gangly
This
bunch with like kind of
yeah.
hawkish, pointy noses. Like it's a vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, the journalist character, I loved him. What a cad. Not a cad. He's just a annoying prick, basically. He felt like he was it felt like their first choice was like John Cleese for this
100%.
guy. And then
100%.
they were like, well, we've got Peter O'Toole. We cannot afford John
We
Cleese anymore.
cannot afford.
He's busy. He's doing another
God
Monty
knows
Python
what.
revival
God
or
knows what.
talking at UC Santa
We're
Barbara
doing
about
faulty
a fish called
towers.
Wanda or something. Yes, he probably was
He probably was actually doing faulty towers at this time. Um.
97, that wouldn't have been what he was
Oh
up
no.
to, but whatever. He's John Cleese, so he's doing whatever
But
he wants to do.
this journalist character, I think I wrote in my notes, he's the definition of the adage, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. He's like the absolute foil to that sort of thought. He's
Yeah.
he's so just like, I have a vendetta against these 2 preteen girls for having fun, and
He literally
I'm going to
goes into their
accost them,
backyard and grabs their arms
and
and is like, "Tell me the truth!" Like,
is
this is
yelling.
not clear and present danger. This is not A Few Good Men, dude. Like, you don't have to go this hard.
He shows up in the backyard to these 2 young girls and is at, like, a 15. He is so it is so irrespective of, like, I'm like, "They just said they saw fairies. They're little kids and they said they saw fairies." Like, it's what? But
Yeah.
also, like, low key, the story does sort of imply that the fairies, like, came back and kicked his ass, which I did love.
Yeah, that's a good scene. I really like that a lot. Um, so yeah, journalist good. I like that actor, whatever whoever he is. He did a good job being a John
He's
Cleese
another
stand-in.
he's
Just
another great
being
British character actor who I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I've seen you in all kinds of things. No idea what your name is. I'm really sorry, sir."
probably 6'7" with legs that are like 3.5 feet tall.
Most likely, most likely.
um, okay, and then the other thing about the cast that needs to be mentioned is
Oh my god.
the end of this movie. I was like having such
So wait,
a
well, let's just really quick. The reason that Frances is with Elsie and her parents in Yorkshire is because her father is a soldier in France in World War II or World
yeah.
War One, excuse me.
Yes, and he's
And so
gone missing,
he is
and
quote unquote
she knows what that means.
quote unquote knows what that means. And so this whole time, Frances is kind of having this hard time of being like, well, I love my cousin and my aunt and my uncle, but also like my dad isn't here. And like my mom's already dead because she's like a woman in the 1900s. Of course, she's dead. Um, but yeah, so it's this whole thing. And then at the very, very end of the film, the last like 2 minutes of this film, a car drives up, a soldier gets out, and oh my god, it's Frances's dad. And then Evan,
It's the ending of the movie.
walk me through the next 30 seconds of this film from
We
that point.
watch we watch the feet of clearly a soldier getting out of a car. We watch the feet proceed closer to the house. Um, this is preceded by the fairies who presumably are leaving, saying a final farewell to Elsie as they fall asleep at night.
Mhm.
Frances wakes up. Elsie wants to show her the fairies, but Frances does not see them because she hears footsteps and is excited and is like, maybe is this
Oh
could
my
this
god,
possibly
could this
be?
possibly be the thing?
We watch the close-ups of the feet getting closer to the house and a gate opening up, and then Frances runs downstairs. Elsie
It's
says
my
thank you to the
daddy!
fairies. It's my daddy.
It's my
um
daddy.
Cut to this little girl getting picked up by none other than
None
the
other.
one and only Mad Max Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson.
Mel
I to
motherfucking Gibson.
to
What?
tell you that I lost my shit when I realized it was
I
Mel Gibson was her dad would be underselling it substantially. I
You're
was like, "Ah! Mel Gibson!" Like, I couldn't take it.
I
I
it
I laughed through half of the credits. I was like, this is not a funny movie. And I was like having such an emotional reaction to this movie and having such and like just enjoying the fairy the fairy ways of these kids and this emotional story. And then Mel fucking Gibson shows up. I was like,
dude,
I
I
couldn't take it. I
can I
laughed
tell
for
you,
10 minutes, honestly. Like,
I okay, first of all, Evan was writing notes by hand on his iPad, which PS illegible. Um, but
I like my handwriting. Thank you very much.
I'm not saying that I didn't like it or I liked it. I think it's fantastic. Very hard to read. Um, my handwriting is also hard to read, so, like, I'm not throwing shade, okay? Not all of us can be Mama Marta with her perfect fucking script, okay?
Right, yeah.
Um, I what Evan's notes, his handwritten notes, was basically, like, the last page of the notes just said, "Motherfucking Mel Gibson," in, like, the entire page. That was the
I
entire
basically wrote out the
page.
entire page as, "Holy shit, Mel Gibson is
Yes.
the end of this movie."
And
Like,
then
Mel Gibson is a star in 1997. It's a
1997,
huge
he
deal for him to be the final thing you see in the movie, and I was like, "What?"
I
Big choice. Big
it
choice.
was and he was uncredited as well, which is funny and interesting.
Mhm.
Um, he was in Conspiracy Theory in 1997.
I know.
Like,
He's already starting to kind of come down in
he's coming down.
1997.
He's not anti
No, I love
he's not
Conspiracy Theory,
openly
though. That's a great
anti-Semitic
movie.
just yet. It is great. Um, but I did the same where I watched the last frame and I was like, "There is no fucking way that's Mel Gibson," because it's like a throwaway shot, right? It's like you get maybe 5 seconds of this dude's face before the, like, door closes and he's hugging his daughter. And I was like, "There's no fucking way that's Mel Gibson. It's not possible." And then took my little tippy tappity typing fingers over to IMDb and was like, "Motherfucker, it absolutely was Mel Gibson. What the fuck? Like, what? Insanity. Insanity." Um,
And again, I just want to point out that it's not insane to cast Mel Gibson in your movie in
it's
1997.
not in 1997
It's just that
specifically.
the context of watching the very end of a movie be Mel Gibson shows up in the context of 2024 is like
It's wild.
hilarious.
It is it's the
You're
best
like,
punch.
Bible toting racist ass Mel Gibson is like the prize at the end of the movie for
It
for 10-year-old Francis.
it
Like,
is
all
it is
right.
it is the best punchline to a non-comedy film maybe ever.
I told you I laughed for literally,
I
I feel like
know.
I laughed for 10 minutes. I was like, I just kept talking to myself, Mel Gibson? Mel
I
Gibson. Mel Gibson. Mel
Yes.
Gibson.
In the year 2024, Mel Gibson being in a film that is like a heartwarming journey into childhood is unbelievable. Is
Yeah,
unbelievable.
it's very funny.
Um,
Um,
okay, well,
so
so anyway, that's the cast. They're all incredible. The woman that plays the mom, I can't remember her name. She's
she was
also
really good too.
lovely.
She did a great
She's
job. Yeah.
so good. She does such a heartfelt. I don't know if you want to do a little Google for me real quick. Help me out, buddy. She's also one of those people that you see in a lot of, if you are like myself, and you watch a lot of BBC like historical dramas and Jane Austen adaptations. She's in a lot of those. She has this like
Hmm.
beautiful, I don't know how else to say it, but like a vintage face. Um, I don't
She
know what
does have
the
a vintage face.
She
I
does.
like the.
You know how we were talking about during our Gattaca episode, we were like, Ethan Hawke is a man for the modern era. There are certain people I think that just like, yeah, this woman just has a she has a face that lends itself well to historical contexts. Um,
Her name is Phoebe Nichols.
Phoebe Nichols, that's what it. Thank you. This is wonderful. I want to talk a little bit now about the director of this film, Daniel Sturridge. Daniel?
Charles.
That was almost so close to it, just one letter off in the old alphabet there.
It's like you had it. It's like it was on
It
the
was
tip of your
I was, like,
tongue.
so close between Daniel and Charles,
Yeah.
basically right there. Um,
Yeah. Sir
Charles.
Arthur Daniel Doyle.
They're ding 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 ding.
Da-ding, da-dang, ding, darl, darl.
Charles Sturridge directed this film, and from what I could read about him and viewed of him, he seems like such a lovely storyteller. Like, he just seems
He's
like somebody that
totally
loves stories.
this is another just a good example of how British people just they don't end up in the Hollywood system being like the most fancy people, but they do seem to produce the Brett they do seem to produce the best dramatists the world has
Yes.
to offer, right?
100%.
Charles Sturridge seems like a tradesman, craftsman, director.
Yes.
He
Gulliver's
directed
Travels.
Kenneth.
Kenneth,
Yes.
okay. Gulliver's Travels for NBC, which we love. Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I love it. I haven't seen it.
It's
But
it's hilarious and it's great and it's very silly. It's in the like Baron Munchausen, Alice in Wonderland, 1990, late 90s NBC Odyssey, those things. It's very
yeah,
silly.
and important and interestingly to us and our podcast, he Gulliver's Travels, which Charles Sturridge directed, was also part of the series of NBC miniseries that kind of includes Merlin, The Odyssey, Gulliver's Travels, Don Quixote, Alice in Wonderland,
Yes.
of this particular time of mid to late 90s fantasy NBC miniseries. Produced by Robert Halmy Sr., who has
Yes.
his name on all of those. So I thought that was a cool connection that Charles Sturridge was also in that world, tapped for Gulliver's
Yeah.
Travels. And he also was a director on, I believe, 2 episodes of Jim Henson's The Storyteller, which tapped a
I
lot
love that.
of British directors because it was getting made and produced by the Jim Henson Creature Shop, which was based in England. Yeah, just a couple cool little connections to our very first and first love fantasy film
Absolutely.
Merlin, which is
Merlin.
just super cool. So yeah,
And
Charles Sturridge is a good seems like a good filmmaker, and I like where
yeah,
he's coming from. I like his heart. He seems to bring a very British but very heartfelt sensitivity to
that
his films.
and I think that's why I was like, he's a good storyteller. Like, he just loves that particular craft,
Mhm.
without maybe the overblown egoism. Um,
That a Hollywood director would have. Yeah, there's a
potentially, you
coming
know.
back to the John C. Tibbets interviews, there is
Oh, my
a great the interview that John C. Tibbets does with Charles Sturridge is very enlightening. You know,
it
in
is.
spite of the fact that
Despite
John C. Tibbets is the man doing the interview,
despite
and
that an actual, like, Baba Yaga of press junkets is doing the interview. Charles
that's right.
Sturridge is so thoughtful and considerate, and you can tell he thought about and cared about this story, and like cared about sort of taking it beyond the just a historical film, right? Like, a this was a thing and it was a hoax and it was this whole thing. He
Mhm.
really was like, I don't want people to think it was a hoax. I don't want people to not think it was a hoax, but
Yeah,
I want people to be amazed. I want people to believe. I want people to be filled with wonder and delight when they see this
yeah.
film. And that so comes through. That so strongly comes through.
Yeah, I love this. This is a total like filmmaker kind of obsession thing, and I count myself as also part of this. But it comes across in this interview that he is very interested in the experience that people had seeing the photographs, as he
Yes.
describes it, these two-dimensional black and white photographs, but they got people to believe in this reality of fairies. And the question that is on everybody's mind at the time seeing them is like, are these real? Are these fake? But the feeling that you get thinking that they're real is like, oh my God, fairies could exist.
Yes.
Magic is real, And so he very cleverly, again, this is such a filmmaker thing. It's such a pedantic, artistic, stupid thing. But I love it. I'm sorry. I
But,
can't
like,
get
I'm
over it.
like, don't apologize for
He
it. I also love it.
Yeah, he takes the idea of, I wanted to take the experience of what it was, of the feeling of what it was like to see these black and white 2D pictures, and I wanted to make, in our time, as he puts it, 3D color, fully realized version of the same thing. So like, I wanted to give the idea through the magic and the illusion of film that, yes, perhaps the truth is that the fairies were real. And of course, the conceit being that we all know that a film like a Houdini trick is magic, or
Yeah.
right? It's not, it's an illusion, it's a trick. It's
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things behind the veil that make it seem real. It is an illusion for your entertainment and your benefit. But while you are experiencing that illusion and that trick, you too believe in magic. And that is
Yeah.
actually the true trick of the
It's
illusion,
the
to
belief.
make you believe.
Inspiring that belief in someone else is the real magic that's happening. And I think you're so right, and it's so interesting because I was watching this movie and I saw so many parallels between Merlin and this film.
Hmm.
Not just in the VFX and in the fairies and in the kind of the actual visuals of it, which there's you can definitely see a through line there. Um,
Hmm.
but in that, um, well, it's just an illusion. It's just a trick. Like it's a cheap. It doesn't matter. And
Hmm.
what actually matters is those like deep feelings and deep connections that you forge and that you can inspire in other people. And
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
that's
unwittingly,
the heart. That's the heart, and I love it.
yeah, and unwittingly, these girls inspire this belief in people, like,
Yeah.
of course there are people who come and try to ruin it, they come with their nets because they're like, we're gonna catch the fairies and we're gonna presumably make a profit off of
I
having
mean,
captured
low
fairies and
key,
things.
wait, how fun to just like show up with a bunch of people, have a great picnic, and be like, "We're gonna go hunt fairies, guys. Let's
Yeah, we're
go."
catching some fairies today.
Yes,
Like,
and not have it be like a scary right wing thing that you do in Arkansas and like kill people, but like you just like go and like enjoy like a romp through the forest and try and find fairies. Like, I want to go do that, guys. Do you want to go do that with me? I would like to. I
yeah,
would
it
like to go do
sounds
that.
It sounds lovely, but yeah, I don't want to catch fairies. They
But
seem like they're
also,
so peaceful and
but
happy.
and however, because the other thing is that part of the reason, and we'll talk about this will actually kind of segue into the art department a little bit now, away from the filmmakers and the go into the art department. The One of the things, that is so common in fairy lore, fairy stories, whatever, is that sense of they show up when you're not looking for them. And if you seek them out, they are tricksters and they're specifically like not going to show up. And so you
Mhm.
have to be in this kind of like quiet, personal place in order to experience those beings, right? Those like fate creatures.
Mhm.
And in all fairy tales and fairy stories, you kind of build a relationship with them, right? You leave a pan of milk out for the brownies, and you leave acorns for the pixies, and all of this sort of stuff, right? You forge a relationship with these beings
Oh
that
yeah, I
is
loved how the girls were like quizzing each other on fairy lore near the
oh,
beginning of the movie, where you're
I
just
was
like,
like, do you
"What
want
do
to
you
be
call a fairy?" Like, blah blah blah. I
I
was
was like,
like,
do you want to be best friends? I do. And that there is something to that nature of fairies, etc., of like your intention plays a big part in it, right? That in the Fey folk, in the Fey realm, whatever, there is a certain amount of they're not gonna show themselves if you're like there for illegitimate reasons, or if you're there to take advantage of them or whatever, right? Like they're there because
Mhm.
they're like, oh, you seem weird and interesting. Do you want to hang out? Um, and I think this especially is shown very beautifully because, as we said, Elsie's brother, her older brother, died of pneumonia, and they were very close. And he was also very obsessed with fairies and would like paint fairies and would build them houses and all of these things. And can I just say, my God, the art department went abso-fucking-lutely ham on this one, and they crushed it. They crushed it. There's this like fairy house. It's like a doll house kind of, but it's for fairies, so it's built out of like twigs and moss and all of this like beautiful, incredible natural product. And it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. It looks so lovingly made.
It's a very pretty house. It's somebody spent a lot of time on that. I'd love to know who the prop person
I would
was
love
who made it.
who actually built it because it again, there's sort of this thing that at one point the girls sort of kind of because they photographed the fairies, they kind of are like, oh, we upset the fairies, and so they're never going to come back now because we sort of took advantage of them. And so they take this fairy house that the brother was building and that obviously has a strong emotional connection for Elsie, and they put it out into the woods as a like, look, we're sorry, we didn't mean to, but we like built you a house as kind of an offering. Um, and I think it becomes, the fairies do come and they flit around and do all the things and are obviously like, okay, you guys are cool. You're not here for weird shit. You're like actually building a relationship with us. Um, and I think it
Colonizers.
fucking colonizers. Yeah, the white people in England colonized. I mean, they were actually colonizers, but not of. Well, they were colonizers
From way back.
from way back. You want to talk about the fucking Norman invasion? Let's go.
They were colonizers before it was popular. They were colonizing other white people.
Dude, they colonized Ireland first. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's rough.
You
Um,
can't let the gingers have a hold
you can't
on
let them
history. You know what
run
I'm
amok.
saying?
No, we can't.
Mm,
What are we gonna do? What are we? No. I mean, I'm not a ginger, but I'm like a secret ginger. I was a ginger as a baby. Still very
yes.
pale.
I hope people know that I am not prejudiced. I do have
You're a
some
you're a
auburn some
you're
auburn
a
in me.
you're a ruddy motherfucker. What
Runny? Ruddy?
ruddy, ruddy,
Mm,
reddish. You are reddish.
right.
Um, yes, but the props are really beautiful, and it's also this era that I love in fashion history. I love the Edwardian era, which is kind of where we're living in 1917. I love Edwardian fashion, and I also love theatrical costuming of that time. And again, very Midsummer Night's Dream, sort of that like Edwardian, Victorian costumey aspect and that very lived in, everything is handmade sense. Um, it's just really
Mhm.
delightful to see how much care and love went into the art department.
They did a great job. Yeah, I'm super impressed with all of the little things in the girls' room that they have,
Mhm.
the watercolor paintings of the fairies that they have,
Yeah.
the way that the father's dark room is set up to look very compact, but very
It's like
workman like.
utilitarian. Yeah.
Yeah, utilitarian. The way the house is set up, I mean, and of course, when you see, Arthur Conan Doyle and Houdini hanging out in like their fancy British parlor rooms and stuff like that. The production design on this movie, I
Oh,
think they went all the way in. And there's a few things that are really great where like they must have made something for the actors who played the fairies to be interacting with that were sort of like large
yes.
scale branches and things because they're interacting with them. Another super cool fun point that I was delighted in, that every fairy in the credits has a name and an
Yes!
actor associated with it. I was
Yes!
like, they mention the
Yes!
names, but they're kind of like in passing and
No.
dialogue with the girls,
Those
but
are
they
like
like made an entire fairy family in the so it's like they created this whole little fairy world, and they didn't need to because you never go into the fairy world like that. You never
no.
learn their names. The fairies don't even talk, but that kind of attention to detail always makes me feel like, mwah, yeah,
And
chef's kiss
that's
right
and
there.
again, I feel like that is the again, yes, chef's kiss with Charles Sturridge of you cared so much about this film and you cared so much about this story and telling this story this way
I
that
think you can tell too in the
it
way
was
that the
important.
fairy visual effects are done too, where it's
Absolutely.
like he wanted this to feel real, and you can feel it because when you do the traveling shots with the fairy, it's 1997. Like they've got good effects, but they could have easily made some shitty ones. And to be fair, not all of them are all great, but like there's a lot of times where you're like, wow, they really felt like because there's so few visual effects
Yes.
shots in the movie. It feels like they put a lot of effort into making the fairies uh, incorporated into the environment. It felt like they put a lot of care into making the compositing feel right, into making the lighting match up like what you would do on any movie. But they did. It felt like there was particular care taken since it was like imperative to the idea of the movie that the
Yeah.
fairies feel real in
Well, and
this world and they feel inhabited in the natural world.
you have to sell in order to sell the idea that maybe this is real, you have to sell the fairies. And
It's the one thing you need to make look real.
you of everything else, it's like you could have had a fax machine in the background of 1917 England and it wouldn't have bothered me as much as if the fairies didn't look real, right? Like
Do you
it
remember that scene where the fairies are crossing the road? I was like,
Yes!
this
And
looks
they had
so
little
good. I
teeny
really
tiny
love the way that
horses.
they jump. I know they have little tiny fairy horses. I love how they have to like jump off the corner of the edge of the
Yeah.
street to get onto the concrete, and they kind of like wander across the way.
It's
That was a great
just
little just like detail moment that
there
sells a lot of what the world of this fairy kingdom is.
yeah, and it's so great when the fairies do show up because again, like everyone was saying, like it is sparing. It's not like they're in every scene. And when they do show up, it's just magical. It just feels really magical. Oh god, hit my microphone. It just feels really magical when they do show up. And at the very end of everything, at the very end of the film, like Evan was alluding to with our Mel Gibson reveal,
With
um,
fucking Mel Gibson.
with motherfucking Mel Gibson, at the very end, as almost like a thank you for caring and a thank you for remembering us and knowing us and learning about us and everything. all of the fairies, like 100 fairies show up uh, and are in Elsie's room. And each one of those fairies, each single one of them has like a different wing pattern and a complete personal costume. And like, that if you asked each one of them, they'd be like, I have a full character arc. And it's so beautiful to see that kind of attention and just like preciousness and love, not in a saccharine way, but in a like, this is a special thing, ergo I am going to treat it as if it is a special thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's time for another quick break before we get into our final thoughts and takeaways on the film and everything we think about it, because
Let's throw it to a Squarespace ad.
let's throw it to a Squarespace ad.
Or Miller Lite.
MeUndies.
Miller Lite, do you want to sponsor me? I'm drinking one of your disgusting beverages right now. It's probably not a good endorsement. It's
I
alcohol.
love that they call it light, Lite.
Because you know
They
what?
don't have enough
You know
faith
what?
that it is Light. It is just Lite.
Here's the thing. I'm fucking slamming a Miller Lite. I ain't got time for fucking bullshit silent G's. You know what I'm saying?
Liggett. Know what I'm
Light.
saying? Miller Liggett? No way. Miller Light. This is
It
America.
it
We
just
spell things the easy way.
it just says a fine Pilsner beer. Not a great
It's
Pilsner
fine.
beer. Not
It's
a good
fine.
Pilsner beer. They are accurate. I will say this to you, Miller Lite, because you're not listening. Um, truth in
You don't know who's
advertising,
listening to our podcast.
you're nailing it. It is a fine. It's fine. It's a fine Pilsner beer. It's fine.
We're back from whatever the hell we did. Thank you for the Shopify ads and everything else that we threw at you. Airbnb promo code B brother sibling 24.
Miller Lite, a fine beer.
Yes.
Just
Um,
fine.
I have to be perfectly honest with our audience. Um, Perhaps you can't tell from the audio. Maybe you would be able to tell more if you were watching me. I've definitely had a bit of a scowl or a questioning mark. I'm a little annoyed because I feel like I just feel like we're just not capturing how magical and beautiful this movie is. It's so delightful and great, and I hope us talking about it ad nauseum for as long as we have has gotten it across. But people just
It
need to watch this. There's so much that I feel like I want to say about this that I just haven't gotten out. There's so many feelings to express, and I just don't feel like I've done a good
it's
job expressing what the kind of effervescent quality of this fairy tale is. It's a beautiful movie, and I think people should check it out. It has a
you should
lot to say
ask.
about
Yeah.
childhood. It has a lot to say about belief and magic and the kind of halfway in between point of, you know, magicians doing fakery to elicit a magical feeling and children feeling real magic and not being able to explain it to adults. There's a lot of stuff that is difficult to get across that is
And
just
it's
beautiful about the experience of watching this movie.
and it, and I think too, I think something that we maybe haven't one thing that we haven't quite touched on yet, just speaking to the like, it is hard to put into words how ephemerally lovely this film is, right? It it's hard to set down. And there are also moments in this film that just absolutely gutted me. Like there's this scene where Elsie's dad
Yeah, tell me one.
so Elsie's dad is um, you know, he and his wife have lost their son to pneumonia. And And, he's an industrial dude in the 1900s, whatever. He's doing the best he can to get by and be a good dad and be a good husband and whatever. And he has this absolutely heart-wrenching scene where he's talking to his wife about how heartbroken he is that he does not have a photograph of his dead son.
Mhm.
That he does not have a a memory to place to his grief, right? He doesn't have or I should say, he doesn't have a physical object to connect to his grief and his love and his loss of his son.
Mhm.
And how part of the reason that he bought the camera that now these girls are using to take photos of fairies and all of this, he's like, part of the reason that I bought a camera in the first place is because I wanted to remember. I wanted this record of
Mhm.
our lives, and I think it's such a beautiful sentiment, especially now, in 2024. You have millions of photos of your kids, right? Or your dog or your loved ones or your partner or your family or whoever
Up in the cloud.
up in the cloud, but that really, like, grief is, I it's universal and it's individual in that way,
Yeah, it's always
where
specific to the person experiencing it.
it is always specific to the person, and there is something universal about the process of grieving, and especially the process of grieving when you start to forget what that person sounded like. You forget what they smelled like, or how they liked to have toast in the morning, or what their favorite, I don't know, what their favorite shoelace type was. Like, whatever those little things are, all of those little teeny tiny things that come together in a constellation of personality. It's so gut-wrenching of this father is grieving so truthfully, and is just like, I just wish that I could just look at an image and see my son, see the child that I lost, and he
Mhm.
doesn't have that. And it plays into the larger themes of the film of, like, the nature of a photograph. Is because something was photographed, does that make it real? And you could go into all kinds of philosophical arguments about, image versus form versus all of the things. But
Mhm.
this film has so many of those moments that hit right at the heart of being human. And it kind
Yeah.
of bowls you over a little bit of, like, I thought this was a kids movie about fairies, which
Fairies
it
are a
is.
great fairies make a great metaphor for being alive because we typically think that fairies don't exist. They are, but they are playful and they're invisible to the adult eye. We're closer um, to what it feels like to see fairies when we're children because we're more playful. And the older you get, the harder it is to recapture that feeling. And the more imperative it is to kind of believe in playfulness if that you're
Mhm,
so inclined to do that. Yeah, fairies make it great. There's a reason that all of these stories have resonated with us for down the millennia. Why these folk tales speak to us still. It's not just fanciful kid stuff. Like there's something about the metaphor of fairies that speaks to our deeper humanity, something that's
it's like,
inside of us, something that wants to come out and play and be I don't know, be one with nature.
it's yeah, and I think it's sort of, I think you could I mean, I don't consider myself a particularly, you and I were not raised in a religious household thing. everything. Um,
I'm
but
not religious, but I'm very
but
spiritual. I have a lot of crystals in my divining room.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that I don't have a couple crystals on the little crystal tray that I have for my tarot deck and my, like, special candles, but that's, like, a separate thing. That's a separate thing.
Yeah.
That's a separate
Mhm.
thing.
Yes.
Um, the other thing, that and what I think is interesting too, just taking it back to kind of the spiritualism movement of the 1900s, is it was kind of blurring the lines between a sort of Christian centric concept of God and religion and the afterlife and all of that, and a very, very personal relationship with the other, with the beyond, with the greater than you
Mhm.
are kind of sense of of things.
Right.
And that was the other thing that kept kind of coming up to me as I was like, well, this film and what it is portraying in these young children experiencing this fantastical otherness, that is to me closer to my understanding of my own version of religion or my own version of a connection to something beyond myself than any formalized religion or than anything, because it's about opening yourself up and being in awe and and opening yourself up to the possibility that you don't know everything.
Mhm.
And also like the Elsie's mom kind of does her own thing with that of like, I miss my child, I miss my son that I lost. I want to believe in these things because I want to believe there's something else. I want to believe there's something more than this world where my son is and all of that. And again, in this movie that is ostensibly about kids and fairies, you get these like human intense moments of wrestling with, what do you do when you don't know something? What do you do when you are confronted with a an experience, a, a whatever it is that you have no rational explanation for? How do you deal with that? How can you make sense of that? Um, and it and I just think it handles it with such subtlety and beauty and humanity that it again, this movie that we thought like, this is a filler, this is going to be a throw in, whatever. I mean, it just like, yeah, it took my breath away in terms of the storytelling, the visuals, the everything. It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and I think to that point of not um of kind of getting thrown into the, you know, that thing that we all experience, that you experience watching this movie, wanting to believe and kind of getting thrown into experiences that you don't completely understand yet, things that are ephemeral. I think that really a lot about what this movie might be about is about I mean, it's about growing up, and right,
Mhm.
movies about kids are about growing up. And because there's all these different belief structures that the parents bring. The mom believes that the fairies are real. The dad doesn't necessarily. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wants to believe so badly that he publishes it in his paper, or in a paper that he contributes to. Um, I think Harry Houdini remains sort of skeptical to the very end, but he also believes in, um, or at least as portrayed in the movie, he believes more in debunking the snake oil salesmanship of charlatans. He's not interested in debunking the stories of two little girls who seem to believe what they're telling, even if it isn't real. Um, I think the one of the last close to one of the last lines in the movie is
Mm.
delivered by Frances, where she's telling Elsie what she thinks it means to be grown up or to be an adult. She says, "It's when you feel how someone feels who isn't you." Um, and
Mm. Gutted.
that was a bit of a mind bender for me. I was like, I have to
Gutted.
piece that apart a little bit, but it's true. Like, there's this special moment that they capture really well in this film where you're a kid and you're still seeing fairies in the context of this film. They've actually seen fairies and they've photographed them. And if they fake, and maybe they faked the photographs, right? But it was for a real purpose, which was to get the parent. They don't make it clear whether they faked the photographs or not, although it's implied that they could have. Um, but really, it's about convincing the adults that what they've seen is real. And it's fascinating to watch the film, and it's a great little statement about what it means to grow up. It means that you're because there's a threshold that you cross, right? You're a child, and then suddenly you're kind of not a kid anymore. And it does feel like you're feeling the way someone feels that isn't you. Like, you start to think back on, like, as an older person, I think back on childhood. And I'm like, wow, I feel like a totally different person from back then. You obviously keep some of the things with you that you grew up with, but there's also a sort of you were a different person. You had a whole different experience of the world back then, and I really liked that they captured that feeling of this kind of the the idea that you can kind of see what's coming, but you don't know what it is as you're growing up. You're like, I'm on the cusp of
It's
growing up and I don't know what that is. And I'm going to have to do it anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. But also, I also still really like seeing and believing in fairies while it lasts.
Yeah, that line that you picked out it hit me too of being an adult is when you feel how someone feels who isn't you. And I was like, wow, that's such a succinct way to describe learning that being an adult, part of being an adult is learning empathy and learning sympathy and learning compassion. And that it's a really heavy burden to bear because when you're a kid and you're just you and you're just concerned about yourself, it, it's kind of easy, right? Like that's all that matters in your worldview. But as you get older and you have to realize, like, no, my actions have consequences, and how I behave in the world is maybe hurting people or is, making people sad. And that has an impact back on you as well.
Hmm.
And you're totally right. Like that was such a moment of like, oh my god. Ugh. As well ugh, as well as being at that age, right? 8, 10, 9, 12, whatever that these girls are. It being that age feels a very specific way because it feels like you're at the top of the roller coaster, right? You've been going up and up and up and up and you've just hit the crest.
Hmm.
And you haven't gone down yet. You haven't hit that drop, but you can see it's coming and you know something of what's on the other side, but not fully. And it's exciting at the same time that it's really scary because exactly what you're saying, you do kind of have to give up certain aspects of yourself, right? Of the person that you were as a child
Hmm.
into like kind of the next unknown phase of whatever adolescence is and then whatever adulthood is. Um And it's actually funny. I have a particularly difficult time uh watching films and reading books about girls that are like 11, 12, 13, 14.
Mm,
I have a
mhm.
really I have a really hard time with it. Like
You're like,
it
"No more. Too close. A
it's
little too close."
a little too close, a little too close. That can do it. Be, because something in there is hitting such a raw nerve that it's difficult to engage with it.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
this and
Well,
I don't know if you have those things. Like, do you have certain like character ages or situation that it's just like I can't do that. Like I see the merit, I understand it, and also like I'm out. Like I'm out hard.
yeah, I think sometimes if I reread, like, Green Eggs and Ham, I'm like, "Just give the man his ham. Like, for Christ's sakes, kids. Oh my god.
You're just like a
Just let the
cranky
man."
old man that wants his ham.
I've always been an old man at heart, yes.
I know. I want you to live in your old man era, Evan. I'm here for it.
Um, I'm trying to get better at, at actually experiencing those things. I think that there's
Mm,
been a long time of, avoidance, and I'd rather
yeah.
go towards them. I'm more interested in being like, "Oh, yeah, like, let's be happy with who I am now so that I can go back to those feelings from the past and experience
Yeah.
them." There's because there's a good there is a good side to having it feel like it happened to another person. In some ways it did. It was you. But at the same time, sometimes there's a way that you can come at things and have empathy for a younger you, in a way that you couldn't have when you were that age, and be like, "I get you now, man. It's okay. Don't worry. It's all going to
Yeah.
be all right." Like, you don't have to freak out so much.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think it's yeah, it's one of those things that normally normally I would say I like a story of like a 12-year-old girl, like I would be like ooh, I'm not in a place that I can like integrate my feelings.
Mhm.
Of like I can't integrate like the person I am now with like the feelings that are coming up because of this thing. Like
Yeah.
that's still hard for me. That's still a challenge. Um
Yeah, all the more reason to practice it,
I
I
mean, all the
suppose.
more reason to practice it. Like oh my god. The other like this is like 8 months ago. I don't even know how long. I was just like I want to watch a movie of like something, just like a whatever. I wanted a background movie or something. That I wasn't
Tideland.
Thailand. I wasn't going to pay attention to it. I was just going to like have it on in the background. And I was like, "Oh, like are you there, God? It's me, Margaret." And I was like, I don't think I ever read the book when I was a kid, but I was like, it's a powder puff, whatever. And I fucking turned that shit off 25 minutes in because I was like, I can't even fucking deal with this. Like I cannot deal with a like 12, 13-year old like coming to terms with like her socialization and like body. And I was like, no, shut it down. I can't do it. Um,
Shut it down.
shut it
I was just trying to
down.
fold some laundry.
I know, literally, I was like, I was trying to fucking clean the kitchen, okay? I was trying to clean the kitchen, not have a fucking mint tea in my Sunday at 2
I
in the
don't need to
afternoon
go
or
through a
whatever.
full-on nostalgia breakdown.
No, exactly. Yeah, but Fairy Tale, this story is just I mean, I like hesitate to say it's perfect, but it kind of is in so many ways. In so many of
There's
it,
Yeah, it's, yeah, I mean, whatever, there's probably things I could say that I
I mean, there's things you
I
can
can't
say
think
about
of
it,
a thing that
but
I can't think of anything I didn't really like about the movie, actually, the more I think
it's
about it. I was just so taken with it.
I
So,
would that's so right, and I think it is one of those rare films again that, like, there are things about it that you're kind of like, "Why are we jumping between these different stories?" Or "Why are we jumping kind of between here and there?"
oh
But
yeah, I
it's
wanted to
the chess match?
mention
What the fuck? Uh,
I was like, "Why are we on the dad's chess match all of a sudden?" And
I
also,
think
they
it's
make a really specific, reference
yeah,
to being like, "He's a come all the way from Sheffield." I'm like, "Is Sheffield, like, famous for chess? Did I
I
this
don't think
is this a
so.
British thing that I don't get?" It
I
was,
don't think so. I think it was honestly once I realized I was like, "Oh, it's a plot device because the dad had to be out of the house so the journalist could break in and, like, see Joseph the ghost boy." Um, then it made sense, but I was like, "This is weird." Like, this is a weird tonal shift. Why the fuck are we at a chess match in a bar? I don't understand. But
watching
whatever.
Harry Houdini get out of a
However
straitjacket underwater.
exactly. However, it is even in those moments where you're like, this feels a little off or a little discordant or whatever, each of those scenes is treated with so much care and with the same amount of endearment that it all strings together and is like of a piece. And it is just sort of like, yeah, this is just this thing that happened to this family and they had their own shit going on. This was not the only thing that was going on in their lives. They had other
Mhm.
things. And it's just such a charming, delightful, lovely film. And I think all of you guys should go watch it. Everybody should go watch it. It's on YouTube. It's like $3 or $4 or something. Go rent it. It's
On
so fun.
on that note, I think it's about time for a
Tambok na siksi. Tambok, 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 tambok na siksi.
that was so out of character for the rest of this conversation. It
I
was a heartfelt, beautiful movie, and it made me think about all the
oh,
things I don't want to think about. Vibe check.
vibe check, guys. So if you are new here, first of all, thank you so much for listening to what I'm sure is going to be a meandering episode. Evan and I do not rate things based on stars or numbers or anything. We rate films
We do it
on
based on the V, baby.
the V, baby.
Double V
Double V.
vibe.
We do it based on two things and two things only, and that is how are the vibes, or how is the story, and how are the vibes.
10 out of 10 on both counts, man. I
Honestly,
don't
yeah,
know.
it peak story, peak vibes. Like it's so good. It's just
But I
it
dig
is
the vibes most of all. I just dig being down by a crick. I dig being with the fair folk. I dig hanging out on a little mossy rock and falling in the
dude.
crick. I dig
There is
Sir
there.
Arthur Conan Doyle coming. It's great because being based on an actual historical event that did have Harry Houdini and did have Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, it does not feel like these famous people from the past are force fed into this. It feels very natural. There's a lot of movies that would be like, this would be a great opportunity for blah, blah, blah to show up. And it never
Yeah.
feels like that when they bring in the famous people of the time. It feels like a real sensation, but they keep it grounded in the relationship between the two girls and between what they've seen, which in the context of this
Yes.
movie is the fairies. And it's very
Yeah.
magical and endearing. And I'd say vibes all around, fairy vibes, magic
It's
vibes,
family
blessed
vibes,
vibes.
friendship vibes, sibling vibes. Like it's all of the things, and it's wonderful. It's it is just a wonderful way to spend about an hour and 45 minutes of your life enjoying and inhabiting this world that Charles Sturridge, or Daniel Sturridge if you're nasty, has created for us. It's so wonderful. Yeah, Pete, like, the story is great and the vibes are just amazing. Just
Real sleeper
really
hit. Super
total
surprised
sleeper hit.
that it caught
Dude,
me off guard with how nice and good it was. So
I
go
know. And
check out FairyTale.
go check out FairyTale: A True Story. It's also this is also episode 10, right? So this is bringing us into the double digits.
That's right. We are at episode 10. Thank you
We're
for
at
sticking
episode
with us this
10.
long. So
Um,
you're going to hear a lot more from us in the future, and we've got
yes, we
two
have.
more episodes this season to
Yep, we
finish
have
us out.
2 more episodes this season to round out 90s sci-fi and fantasy films. Look forward next week to a very special guest. I'm so excited.
We're going to have a
And
lot of fun. We're going to have a
we're
lot of
gonna
fun.
have, I would say, between, well, at least the guest and myself, the most fun.
Yes, we
I might
will.
say. And so yeah, just thank you so much for listening.
It's been a real pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
It's been just what a delightful vibe. This has felt like such a break from routine. Normally we record on Sundays. I
Yes.
record in the afternoon and Evan records kind of at 11 or so, 10 something. I don't know. Time differences are weird.
Mhm.
But I fucked up my schedule a bunch and whatever, and so we had to record on like a Tuesday night. So this felt really, I don't know, this felt very different. It felt more like I was like, oh, I'm just gonna hang out and talk to my
It
brother.
feels, I feel like I'm existing in a dreamscape.
Huzzah!
Yes.
Well, go.
Socials.
Socials!
You
We're
can
social. I'm not social, but you
here,
can
you
be.
give the brother sibling everything, I'll give my everything, and then you'll give your everything.
Great. You can find us at Brother Sibling Movie on Instagram that I have not
Mhm.
updated recently. I'm so sorry. You can also find us on YouTube, which Evan has not updated recently. We need that Bombas and Spotify money,
That's right.
so get at us.
Miller Lite, we're looking at you.
It's fine.
It's a fine Pilsner. You can find me on all of the socials at Art of Evan K. That's Instagram and my website and the YouTubes. Follow me to check out some of my art, and you'll find a lot of magic-inspired things because I
Yeah.
love fairies and I love magicians and fantasy and sci-fi, which is everything that we love here. And Meredith, where can the people find you?
In a ditch, typically communing with the local flora and fauna.
The
If
toads. Licking the toads.
I lick a toad of an evening, if I'm being honest with you, I will absolutely.
Your evenings are filled with toad lickery.
The ladies know what I'm talking about.
Know what I'm saying?
Know what I was saying? So if you're not at your local ditch communing with a hag witch on the moor at night, perchance, and you wanted to find me on social media, you could find me at Lawn Daddy Lives Here. There's underscores between each of the words. Lawn underscore daddy underscore da, because lawn is a modifier of daddy. That's a particular type of daddy I am. It is a lawn daddy. And you can
Yes.
also
If you're not on the socials, you can always come out once every blue moon upon, when
please.
Mare is holding their witch circles in the backyard, holding aloft sticks of Satanistic rituals.
It's all for
Yes,
the goddess, babe. It's all for the goddess. And
that's right.
also,
Dancing
yes,
around the maypole.
recently there was I went to a party, like for a friend of mine's birthday party or something, and it was a full moon that night, and the moon was the beaver moon, and I was like, the gayest moon. The
Why are
beaver moon.
beavers? Why are beavers the gayest moon?
Evan, figure it out.
I know that beavers are a euphemism for vaginas, but vaginas are loved by all. It's not specifically
But they're
gay.
especially loved by the lesbians.
But lesbians are only half of the entire gay community, a quarter if you count all the other things, maybe even less. So what is specifically gay about beavers?
Vaginas. I don't know what else to tell you, Evan. It's gay. And
Vaginas are
I
both hetero
you
and
know what?
gay.
You
I
know
do
what?
not take this point lightly.
You know what? I'm not gonna explain my culture to you. You need to do your own research. So
I don't have a good answer, so I'm just gonna say shut the fuck up.
I'm just gonna say shut the fuck up. It's homophobic that you would even ask that and move on. Um
Go figure.
oh wait, you can also email us at brothersibling@gmail.com. Guess what? I did check the email. There's nothing in there, guys. Get in
Perfect.
there. Get in there and
Come
email
say
us.
hi to us. Yeah, tell us what you want us to watch next, what the next season
We're
should be about.
we're coming up on season 2. We have a lot of great great season ideas. But if there's Bob, Nancy, Mom, if there's anything
We
you really
should
want to hear us talk about, that'd be great.
we should throw a poll up and see where we get with 3 votes and see we should list 4 or 5 of the next
Oh my god,
seasons
what
themes
if
that we could do and see what people have to say.
what if
Let
Bob
the
has
people decide. Democracy in action.
what if Bob has to be the like majority whip vote between Mom and Nancy?
What of who?
What if Bob has to
Oh, Bob.
be the like majority whip and like be
I
like we're
look
not
forward to seeing how
I look
that
forward to
situation
seeing how it
resolves
plays.
itself.
I look forward to seeing how it plays out, and I do appreciate it. Um, I don't know, man. Do you have anything else? We talked for so fucking long, and I'm so sorry you have to edit this, but you've been doing a great job with the edits recently. Johnny Mnemonic, excellent. So I am impressed by your skill, and I appreciate the skill.
Well, thank
Um,
you. And thank you for watching FairyTale with me. And thank you, listeners, for listening to us gab about this fantastic, nostalgia-filled fantasy film from 1997. FairyTale, a true story. Check it out. Watch it somewhere. You'll like it. I promise.
it's on YouTube.
That being said, I hope you all have a pleasant, magic-filled week.
Have a magic-filled week, and go watch a movie with your sibling. Call your sibling.
Go watch a movie with your sibling. I would recommend it.
No, you do it. No, you do it with your sibling. No, you
No,
do
you
it.
do it.
No, you fucking do it.
You fucking do it.
Do it.
Stay tuned for 2 very exciting episodes. One, our next one, a very popular movie that everybody loves with a very special guest.
Very special guest.
And a finale that will bring the house down, also stretching the definition of fantasy movies. But you're going to love it.
Definitely,
I'm going to love it. Mara's going to love it. We're going to have a good time.
Definitely strong-armed Evan into the season finale, and I'm here for it.
Worth it.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.